Okay folks, this is a video on how to show you how to properly remove I should say, the CV joint axle or the drive axle on 97 Honda Civic. This is an EX model, ABS of course. Excuse me. And I've been seeing a lot of videos on the internet, backstreet or backyard mechanics, something like that, whenever you Google that procedure, and their videos come up first. I'm not gonna knock anyone's videos. The videos were helpful, but there's certain techniques that they use that are just are not no good. The best video was by this one guy. I don't know his name, but it's spelled OLOME1, garage engineer, something like that, Amole1, something like that. But anyway, you're gonna need an OEM half-inch breaker bar. This is a 24-inch. This particular tool, if you can get it non-OEM, that'd be way better. I had to rent this from AutoZone. Is the reason why I got OEM. This thing breaks very quickly. If you can get a Duralast 36-inch half-inch breaker bar, perfect. Maybe even with a cheater bar, you better get it off, you know, the factory torque specs. You better get it off properly without no problems. I had hella problems, so I had to take it to tire shop, and they loosened up the CV joint nut for me for $3. This tool, on the other hand, I rented also from AutoZone. Very good quality. Brought some faith back in OEM. This is a axle nut socket, 32 millimeter. This is the box, the white one. That's the box that comes with the new CV joint axle. I'm gonna show you the old one so you can see what it looks like off vehicle. This is a complete joint, a complete CV axle off the vehicle. This is the old side passenger. This is the passenger side CV axle. That's the old boot, destroyed, and the grease got everywhere, and the inside's got rocks inside and dirt and sand and little kids. Anyway, this is a typical hammer, a heavy hammer. You're gonna need a heavy hammer. If you can get a little bit heavier than your average hammer, perfect. If not, then that's fine. C-clamp. That thing right there is gonna save your life if you happen to watch those other videos and you're stuck with a certain problem. That's gonna save your life, and we'll walk you through that in a minute. Then you need an average flat tip screwdriver, air wrench. This one was too small, so like I said, I had to take it to a tire shop. They took it off for me for $3. No problem. And jack stands, because we work safe. Now this is the beautiful factory wheel that comes with most cars, but this is the Honda Civic, of course. Very beautiful. You see the luxurious holes, very sexy, very stylish. Anyway, this is the nut right here that's going to have the most the most problems getting off. It's the CV joint, the CV axle nut, or I think it's technically called a spindle nut. I'm not too sure. It's got a dimple right here. You're gonna have to knock free all the dimples around it. Do this while it's on the ground. Loosen up your lug nuts. Get your breaker bar. Put the socket drive in here. Attach the breaker bar. Break that motherfucker free. Okay, excuse my language. Break that thing free. If you can, take it to a tire shop, like I said earlier. Okay, and I'm not a certified mechanic, so this is just a guy who loves to work on his Honda Civic, trying to help out fellow Honda Civic owners that like to do it yourself. This wishbone, I believe it's called. There's a bolt here. It goes all the way through on the other side with a little nut on the other end. You're gonna have to hold both of them down. I think they're 17 millimeters. Remove it, hammer it through this way with a hammer and a flat tip screwdriver, and it'll pop out that way. Then there's one bolt at the top of it right back here on the other side. I can't show you because my tire is turned, but there's a bolt. I believe it's, I want to say like 12 millimeters, I'm not too sure, and it should just come right out easily. And then this drops down, and then you move it out the way, you take it off, and you set it on the ground. The problem was this right here. lower control arm. This is your castle nut. It has a cotter pin that goes through it. Let me get closer. This is the cotter pin, as you can see. It goes through it. You have to pull the cotter pin out, remove the castle nut, and I believe that's 17 as well. I'm not too positive, but I believe it's 17. And the videos, like, you know, backyard mechanics or whatever they call, those videos, what they was telling me was to get a heavy hammer and to hit in this area, and it should pop free. Okay, after you take the nut off, of course, it should just pop free. After you jacked it up, also jack stands under the vehicle, jacked it up before you do all this, and it's supposed to pop free, right? Negative. I don't know if there's been replaced recently or what the situation was, but with my Honda, it was probably factory still together, you know, so it was very hard to get off. I banged on it, as you can see. It's got some metal chipping away. I banged on it as hard as I could multiple times. Didn't work. I accidentally hit this bolt, or this screw that goes to this bolt, bent it a little bit, caused a tremendous amount of problems. Excuse me. I'm a little sick. Okay. What I found was a little trick online. If you jack up this all the way, you know, with a scissor jack it up right here all the way up, it's gonna apply pressure on the system, right? You take a socket wrench or a socket drive, a fat one, you stick it right in this crease, then you lower your jack down, and when you lower your jack down, it'll create a leverage type pressure, and it'll pop the whole socket out like that, and then you could just lift it up, and your whole rotor, or whatever it's called right here, would be just swinging free. Handy dandy, and you can get the CV joint out. Okay, now let me show you how to actually remove the CV joint, and you get all your other parts out the way. Okay, as you take the screw off, you're gonna have to hammer this piece all the way through. It's gonna go through maybe about all of it except for an inch or half an inch, I believe. Then what you want to do is you want to grab it from behind the wheel or behind the rotor, pull this way, and it should pop free easily. And then you can try and pull this way out the transmission, and if it doesn't come out with the first yank, you're gonna need to get under the vehicle, and you're gonna need to put a flat tip screwdriver in between the transmission and the CV joint that's in the transmission. You're gonna need to go that way, and it should pop this way. You know what I mean? So you're gonna need to do leverage to pop the transmission, the CV joint this way, and then you can easily just take it out. Installation is reversal. You just put it in the transmission's end first. You're gonna hear a soft click or feel a slight vibration. That means it's seated, and then you're gonna need to put it back through this hole. Okay, you're gonna need to put it back through this hole. Then put your wheel assembly back in, back together like this. Put your the little bolt that goes with the castle nut. It should fit right back into your lower control arm properly. You bolt that bolt back up. Well, you put this piece back on, your wishbone back on. You bolt it at the top, bolt it at the bottom, screw it all together nice and tight, back to specs, torque it down. Don't cheat yourself. Even though we do-it-yourselfers like to, it should be pretty safe. Just make sure you torque it down, okay? And that should be it. Take it for a test drive, and you should no longer hear any popping coming from your CV joints. And that is how you that's how I properly replaced my CV joint. If I would have did it the way I just showed you right now, it would have saved me. I would have just did it in 40 minutes to an hour. But because I was watching all those videos, looking at all the tutorials online, it took me from 4 o'clock to 11 o'clock, which is 7 hours to do the CV joint. Because I kept running into problems because it wouldn't work for me the way it was working for them. And I would find little tips that worked better than others. So what I did basically was put a video together for 96 to 2000 Honda Civics that, you know, have all the tips placed into one spot to properly get your CV joint off your vehicle. Okay, thank you for watching.